For the next 10 minutes or so, as the music plays, we'd like to invite you to just relax. Close your eyes, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namah. Ganapataye Namo Namah. Ganapataye Namo Namah. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamare.
Satsang. I'm going to tell you right now, before we go any farther, that I'm having constant warnings that our internet connection speed is slow, and it's shut down twice already. So, we'll do our best, but if we come and go, you'll understand why. And modems. But I can't do that now. We're sort of in now. Yep. Just check one last little thing here. Yeah. Well. Okay. So, anyway, welcome to our online satsang. It's where two or more seekers on the path of awakening, divine union, transformation of consciousness, and we come together, two or more of us, to share our presence, to share our journeys, our ups and our downs together. You've got a satsang. So, and we can connect all around the world with people this way. It's really lovely. We have an in-person satsang every Wednesday night at Flowering Heart Center here in Florida. If you're ever here in Clearwater, Florida on a Wednesday, please come join us. In the meantime, our goal is to help as many people awaken out of the illusion of duality and separation, into the connectedness of experience with the divine, with all that is. We can shift out of a global culture rooted in competition, world of cooperation, harmony, and peace. Flowered divine source and with others. To that end, we share something called the Flowering Heart Blessing. Flowering Heart Blessing is a direct transmission of divine awakened consciousness and presence that catalyzes awakening into oneness and the flowering of the heart and the receiver. You're soaking in it right now. When the Divine showed us the Flowering Heart Blessing, going on 9 years ago now.
Exactly 9 years.
Exactly 9 years ago since.
Anyway.
The Divine showed us that when you receive one of these blessings, you're fully activated, initiated to be able to share it yourself. So, since you're receiving it right now, if you like the energy in the space, please join in the satsang tonight and hold an intention for the blessing to also touch and transform anyone that watches the video recording of this at any time in the future. It is spirit, this transmission, and spirit is unbounded by distance or time. It's always here, it's always now. So that actually works. If someone watches this next year, this recording, they'll feel the same presence that we share here tonight. We'd like to open it at this point to, I don't think we to questions and answers pertaining to the spiritual journey, your journey, or some area of spirituality, awakening, divine union, the flowering of the heart, past lives, future lives, meditation. Whatever you'd like to have some clarity and light, it will help everyone and it will stimulate the conversation in a few minutes here. I see that there are some questions coming in, but I'm going to give you time to consider a few more. I like to share these quotes from a website called inspiringquotes.com. We're a group of authors really from all over the place, from South America, the West Coast, the East Coast, write brief articles on relevant topics and then share quotes from inspired and inspiring people from throughout time. And tonight, thought we were going to do Paula Chen again on that. Or, what's her first? Anyway, doesn't really matter. Tonight we have Paula Bennett. Paula Bennett is a writer based in Brooklyn, New York. She writes a fortnightly newsletter that treasures the mundane, called Small Histories. You can find her on Instagram at Paula Bennett. It's spelled Paola. Thank you for this contribution tonight. These are 9 quotes to calm a troubled mind. Mind is always troubled, but it's always trouble. Overthinking, anxiety, restlessness, ruminations turn into something more difficult to control. When life's external pressures get to us, we may begin to doubt ourselves, our minds racing from one thought to the next, and the more time we spend stuck inside our heads in our lives. Most of us have heard of the fight or flight adrenaline response our bodies use to react to stressful freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. And when anxious or unhelpful thoughts have us feeling frozen or stuck, it's crucial to try to keep moving any direction but backward. Grounding ourselves is a great first step. Calling a loved one, going for a swim, or finding another way around us. We can also learn to identify what we have the power to change and to let go of what we don't. Just know that this process is slow and requires lots of patience. We may not be able to quiet our thoughts overnight. Easier it will become. The next time you find your head crowded with troublesome thoughts, we hope these quotes bring you some peace and relief, as well. Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up. And took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. Mary Oliver. You cannot wait for an untroubled world to have an untroubled moment. In the meantime, Lemony Snicket. That's all you can do in this world. No matter how strong the current beats against you or how heavy your burden, Robin Schneider. I realize that I don't have to be to show up and enjoy the messy, imperfect, and beautiful journey of my life. Kerry Washington. Oh, gives us freedom. And freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, possessions, we cannot be free. Thich Nhat Hanh. I drew a little green monster on my shoulder that tells me all these things that aren't true. And every time I listen to it, it grows bigger. It crushes me. But if I turn my head and keep doing what I'm doing, let it speak to me, but don't give it the credit it needs, then it shrinks down. Your mind will answer most questions if you learn to relax and wait for the answer. William S. Burroughs. Does it change a thing dwelling down each road of possibilities? Don't worry, little worrier. Don't hurry the hurt. Let the moment burn your time. This is your life. Kina Granis. Is more about being present. I'm now aware that the not so happy memories lie in wait, but the hope and the joy also lie in wait. Viola Davis. Those were nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hard choice. There were 15 quotes from astronauts and cosmonauts about looking at the Earth from space, which is. There were 16 quotes. 15 quotes to read before you go to sleep. I passed that one because I don't want everybody to fall asleep quite yet. There we are. Yeah, we keep going.
Oh yes, and if you're tuning in, we like to go and see who tuned in during the week.
And if you're watching on Vimeo, you could just enter in the chat who you are and say hi. And we'll send you special hugs and blessings.
Saw the little hearts and likes pop up.
Yeah. So, Yekaterina writes, how can I know if what I desire agrees with God's will?
Do you want to?
Well, the first flippant answer that comes to mind is you can't. Lays it on you through a theophany, and then you have to trust that your perception is clear. So, how can you know if what you desire agrees with God's will? Well, the simplest thing I know is to get to know God. When you really know a person, and you can be sitting there with them, and you're just in silence together, but you're intuitively in sync, and you say, hey, you want to go to that restaurant? You don't even need to hear an answer. You know them so well, intuitively you can feel if the divine is approving or not. The original language of the divine, it's been said, is silence. So it's a knowing in your heart. St. James, the brother of Jesus, said that the wisdom that comes from above is pure and peaceful and easy to be entreated. It's easy to request guidance from. But James said, if, on the other hand, you have confusion and strife in the mind, that is not the wisdom from above. So getting to know the difference between the ravings of the mind, with all of the strife it causes and all the struggle and the confusion, because James, this is earth. He said earthly, sensual, and demonic, flat out. But the wisdom from above, it creates this peaceful sense of knowing in your heart. If you just wait for it to come, the mind will answer most of your questions. But the heart is where we like to look for wisdom. And sometimes our hearts are troubled. Sometimes emanations of the mind, and we can't figure it out. Wait. The Tao Te Ching says, the sage, the wise person waits for the action. So if you're patient and you ask for guidance, then it may come to you while you're asleep. It may come to you while you're gardening or walking. Just in your heart, you just know. You feel really clear about it. And so I think intuition is the best way. My ability in two ways. First of all, by meditating in the scriptures. The scriptures, if they're authentic scriptures, and it doesn't have to be just the Christian or the Hebrew. I see us freezing constantly. Those words of the prophets and the seers and the apostles of Christ, those words, relationship that they had with God. And so when you meditate on their words, their writings, the things that they're saying God showed them, God spoke to them, you kind of get to know the way God thinks, the way God feels. One was meditating on the Holy Scriptures, the great traditions, for me particularly the Bible, but also the Bhagavad Gita, the great books from Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and other great traditions. And by meditating on them, you kind of get a sense of the will of the divine. So you pick that up in your heart. It's especially obvious then when something is coming to you that is not the will of God, because it flies in the face of the Word. The other thing I did is I hung out with people who heard the voice of God, who were signs and wonders in their lives to bear testimony to what they were hearing. Many of them had gifts. And those things, they're contagious. You pick up on it by osmosis. Taoist master Lulong Bin, who is the founder of the Taoist lineage that I was brought up in, said to spend time with as many enlightened teachers as you can. Confusing, because every one of them almost tells you to follow them. But once you're grounded in your path, to spend time with awakened beings when they come through town, or if you're drawn to go see them, it's contagious, that open ear of their spirit. You catch it. And so, and just listening to them talk about recognizing whether my desires agree with God's will. Sometimes it's a mystery, it's hidden, and we need to hold on to that very lightly and acknowledge that maybe we, for all of our intuition and all of our visionary experiences, maybe we don't always know. I mean, Suzanne's been faithfully pointing out to me, you were wrong. And you know what? It's true. More than once. So I keep this healthy mantra going in my consciousness. Why do you assume that's true? Well, I heard God speak to me. Well, why do you assume that that's true? Authentic. So it's good to question ourselves and not be cocksure. You want to add to that?
No, I think the question just threw me for a loop because because it's all of what Michael said is just right on. But sometimes we have to go through experiences, or sometimes our desires will lead us into places where it's not in divine will, but we needed to grow or we needed to learn something from that situation. So meditating more on the divine presence in our lives and getting to know it more. Also the word desire, I understand what you meant by that, but sometimes desires can be things from our false self that we're not really even considering that it's in alignment with the divine will.
Where Jesus, he made this promise, it's Mark 11, verse 24, the prayer of faith. Whatever things you desire, when you pray, believe you have received them, and you shall have them. They shall manifest for you. Maybe now, maybe in the future. Well, He said, whatever things you desire. So evidently it's okay to desire things. Buddha's often misquoted as saying desire is the root of suffering, and I get it, but he was talking about craving. Because Buddha desired people to become awakened. Buddha desired his disciples to be liberated. Buddha desired humanity to be in the peace of the awakened state. Nothing wrong with that. But if he had craved it, he would have been miserable all the time. Because it still hasn't happened for the lion's share of humanity. So desire can be okay. The key, Jesus said, whatever things you desire, when you pray, believe you have received them. So you have to have a conviction in your heart that what you're asking for is in alignment with the will of God. And you have to believe that when you asked, God said yes. And that's clearly not the case when sometimes we're asking for things that we sort of know we shouldn't. And it was something when Suzanne, said sometimes we go through stuff because we need to learn something. I think, I'm not putting words in your mouth, dear Lord, but sometimes I think I pulled so hard because my desire was that unclear desire that he said, sure, go ahead, see what happens. Israel was being guided by the manifest presence of God. It was a cloud by day, a pillar of cloud, and at night it became a pillar of light, the Shekinah glory. And it led them 40 years in the wilderness. Well, they had that, and they had prophets. They did not have the kind of government we have. It wasn't a democracy, and they didn't have a king either. And so they cried out to God and to Moses and said, we want a king. We want a king like all the other worldly people. And God tried to say, that's not such a great idea. But they persisted, and so God said, okay. The fact that he said okay and gave it to them doesn't mean that that was his perfect will. So in some Christian teaching, there's God's permissive will. He permits us to do all kinds of things that are not wise. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Whatever you bind on earth and forbid on earth, heaven will forbid it. So whatever's going on down here is because we're releasing these negative forces or we're binding them. And that's God's permissive will. Because we have some free will here. We have some play. And God may say, are you sure you really want that? Are you sure? Think about this. Yes, I really want it. Okay, go ahead. Or here it is. And of course, the history of Israel's kings was problematic. King Saul, he was a tough customer. Even David. These guys were morally and ethically complicated, just to say it in a word. They were better off with the prophets and the direct leadership of the Spirit than to have these monarchs, ruling over them with their huge egos. But desire is not terrible, and there's apostles and disciples. He said, long have I desired to share this meal with you. The word translated desire from the Greek actually literally is lust. Jesus said, long I have lusted to share this meal with you. Well, that was fine. That was in alignment with God's will completely. So it's even strong desire, as long as it isn't craving. He didn't say, I've just been miserable, waiting and craving to have this meal with you. So that's the difference. More asks, do you agree with the affirmation, my higher self is in command or in charge?
I don't think it's as simple as that.
In charge of what?
Like, I think she's meaning like anything in life, but and saying that affirmation would put you more in touch and more in tune with your higher self. But I feel like it goes beyond that. I mean, at some level, people would argue that our higher self is our divine self, but there's that, our higher self, and then there's something higher than us, and that, we can be the I am, the all that is, but there's also something greater than us. And to put that perspective and balance, it's a good affirmation to keep reconnecting with your higher self and to trust in it. But I think that there's something a little bit higher than that.
I mean, if I say my higher self is in command, that means my higher self's in and reality. And I don't think so. I mean, my higher self is in command of my lower self and everything below it. But what Suzanne said, there is something higher. Christ is in the highest possible state of consciousness and relationship to the transcendent Father. And he said, and it's what got him killed, and eventually, he said, my Father and I are one. He said, nevertheless, the Father is greater than I am. Don't pray to me. Direct your prayers to the Father, for he is greater than I am. But he was one with God, yes. I'm one with the universe, but I'm not the universe. I'm one with God, but I'm not God. In that way, to plant medicine, I think, are saying, I'm God, I'm God. If you were to read about, in the Hebrew scriptures, the fall of the lofty angel that fell and took a third of the angels of heaven with him, he said, I am. And I will sit in this seat and I will rule as God. And God comes along and says, no, you won't. And then that was the whole thing. He was experiencing divine union. But then he decided, I'm in command. And he wasn't in command. See, so, I mean, the end of the Lord's Prayer, for thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Do we share in it? Yes, we share in it, but we don't call the shots. So, that's what I think. Jennifer writes, just want to make a public gratitude comment. I've been MIA for a bit, getting my one kiddo off to college. It's been physically, mentally, and financially stressful on me. But I'm happy to report this Labor Day weekend was lovely and peaceful, and I'm starting to feel like myself again. Grateful to be joined to the Monday Night group. Skibbity connection? And all. Oh, Skibbity. Yes. Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that can be quite the process.
Indeed.
Plus, there's all the emotions of, letting go and trust, and, our babies are grown, and, there's so many complicated factors that go with that besides the actual physical part of it.
Maury writes, please send prayers for a job interview I have tomorrow for the soft skills teaching position that I am passionate about and have been preparing for the past 4 years. Indeed, we'll
Beautiful.
certainly hold intentions and pray and ask for you to have favor there. Stacy says, welcome back, Jennifer. And Stacy also says, have either of you read The Impersonal Life? I recall a line saying our desires are God's will coursing through us. My feeling on that is it refers to deeper soul desires versus passing carnal.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you put it nice and concise and to the point. We kind of meandered around that, but that was very concise.
Yeah, it is. So, yes, and I read The Impersonal Life, so many years ago. It's probably been 40 years. But yeah, I kind of get the sense of it. It was my grandfather's favorite book. He loved it. So clearly, all of our desires are not God's will coursing through us, because we have a jillion desires every day flow through us, and like you said, deeper soul desires versus passing carnal desires. Very good.
I have also experienced that as the false self gets smaller and not as in command, there's less desires because you're not thinking about yourself very much. You're always looking how to be of service or how to help others, or you're putting yourself out there outside of your selfish wants and desires, and they kind of just take a back burner.
Or they're actually desires for other people to be helped.
Right.
I mean, one of my mentors, a great prophet and teacher, sort of blew me away. He passed away a number of years ago. Great teacher and prophet. And he said that for over 30 years he had never uttered a prayer for himself. It's like, what? He said, yeah, all I do is I pray, and that God meets all of my needs and fulfills all of my desires. Wow. So I can only hope to grab onto the caboose of that train. Anything else? Okay. Well then.
Just on time. If there is such a thing.
Okie dokie. So, you could close your eyes and invoke the divine presence within. Wherever you look, there is the presence. If you look above, God is above you. If you look around, God is all around you. You live in the ocean of the divine presence. A little bit more mysterious is that the entire divine source and presence dwells within you. The universe is within you. And if you go deep enough into the center of your being, you come to a place that is pure light, pure love. It is God within. Not just a piece of God, but the entire Godhead dwells within you as the center of your being. And it yearns to love you, to fill you with joy and peace. It yearns like a loving parent to free you from suffering, especially the suffering that's caused by the illusion of separation, division between us and the divine, between us and others. So many people live in a state of alienation, feeling a gap between themselves and others. And this is an illusion of the mind. There is no separation between anything. In this universe, it's all connected. Especially, you are connected to the divine source. No, it loves you unconditionally exactly as you are. flower and shine and radiate, flooding your spirit with light, the light of oneness, the light of love. It shines through your spirit out into the outer layers of your soul, where the mind, the thoughts and emotions, and the programming, all the difficult traumas that are buried in the unconscious mind, the divine will shine out through your illuminated spirit and dissolve wrong thinking, emotions, programming, repressed emotion and trauma. The divine yearns to help you clear the layers of the mind and the emotions, and to flood you with divinely inspired ideas and thoughts, divinely inspired patterns. Receive, drink it in, soak it up. Just allow the divine to shine in you. It will shine out through your spirit, your soul, your body, to heal every disease, every physical pain. The Christ said, if your eye is single, your body will be filled with light. It'll shine out into your relationships and heal them and make them right, and shine out through your life into the world to touch others. Just receive and allow. Special problem or need, just let go. Let go and give it to the divine presence. Keep drinking in the grace, the peace, the love, the joy that's pouring out to you right now. Imagine us sitting in a circle together, all of us, with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands with your palms open, turn forward, and let us ask the divine presence to pour the flowering heart blessing to all flows through you. It transforms you and blesses you. Blessing flowing through your heart, through your hands, through your intention. Picture the earth in the middle of our circle, the beautiful, blue, translucent, living planet. And let us take a strong intention and ask the Divine to pour out the flowery heart blessing to every living human being on planet Earth, to melt away fear and anger and hatred and violence, and to cause all in unconditional love and peace, peace, peace. That all of humanity might awaken to the one consciousness, the one light, the one heart that we all share. See it melting away all hatred and all violence from the face of the earth. And the lion shall lay down with the lamb, and the infant will play on the cobra's den, and there shall be no harm. We also ask the Divine to melt away the pain, the grief, the trauma, and let peace and joy arise in this place. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you could just, when you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes. During the light meditation, we're flooded, we're filled with oceans of love and light and grace. And it pours through every through our eyes. Mystics have called the eyes the doorways, the windows of the soul. The light shines out through our eyes, into your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light of awakening and the fires of divine love to burn brighter and brighter in you. There's nothing for you to do but relax, keep looking, and just be still. meditate with us a few moments. Now keep meditating or lie down nearby in Shavasana. That's a simple yoga pose where you find a comfortable place and just lie down on your back. With your eyes closed, palms open, turn skyward, and just let yourself dissolve in the presence in gratitude. We love you so much, and until we beholds the divine in you.